Hello, everyone. Welcome to our release kickoff for milestone 17.5. My name is Jackie Porter, and I'm a product leader here at GitLab. I'll be your host for today's live stream. I'm joined by some of my favorite product team members. They are in order by which they will be presenting. Taylor McCaslin will provide updates for our data science section. Josh Lambert will provide updates for our core platforms teams. Derek Ferguson will provide updates for Dev and Monitor. Tim Rizzi will provide updates for CI/CD sections, and Sam White will provide updates for the SEC team. We will be presenting our efforts across these teams based on our 4 themes. Enable AI ML efficiency across DevSecOps lifecycle. Drive use case adoption to help customers fully realize value. Differentiate on DevSecOps platform, and strengthen our SaaS deployments and capabilities. Before I hand it over to Taylor to kick us off, I have a short public service announcement. On this live stream, we will be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It is important to note that this information is presented for informational purposes only, so please do not rely on this information for purchasing or planning purposes. We plan ambitiously here at GitLab, and all details discussed in this live stream are subject to change, and the timing of any products, features, or functionality remain at the sole discretion of GitLab. And with that, I'll send it over to Taylor to get things started.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor McCaslin, and I'm a group manager of product for our data science section. Everything we work on supports the theme of enabling AI and ML efficiencies across the DevSecOps lifecycle. Let's talk about the AI-powered stage, which helps GitLab build generative AI into GitLab Duo to help customers increase productivity and efficiency. We'll begin with our custom models team, which is specifically focused right now on self-hosted models, which works to enable Duo to work for customers who have tightly controlled networks or even air-gapped networks. The team is working on support for Llama 3 series models, which is a new series of models so that those can be used with self-hosted models. We're also improving the results for CodeGemma, which is one of Google's model series that's already supported in self-hosted models. The team's also iterating on the model and feature configuration UI to make it easier to set up self-hosted models. It'll look like this, where each feature you'll be able to choose which model powers that feature. And then finally, the team's also working to support private cloud-based models for customers who have private instances of popular cloud-based LLMs like Anthropic, Google Vertex, and OpenAI. And so they're looking to support all of those models across the various feature sets as well. Moving on to Duo Chat, our multi-turn conversational AI interface. The team is focused on performance and stability of Duo Chat, focused primarily on error rates and tool selection to improve the quality of Duo Chat. Additionally, they're working on a variety of context expansion experiences to broaden what chat is aware of. They're working on merging support for merge request context within Duo Chat. Additionally, the team is working to improve how Duo references additional files in the IDE. So let me give you a preview of what this looks like. In Duo Chat, you'll soon be able to do a /include and select various different contexts, whether that's the entire code base, open files, a text selection, or even specific files. As you choose those, you'll see those represented within each of the chat bubbles to see what context is being used there. And then finally, the team is also working on implementing a helpful / command so that you can more easily understand what chat is capable of. Now let's move on to AI Framework, which works on the backbone of our AI abstraction layer, as well as our newly announced Duo Workflow feature. We'll start with Duo Workflow. The team is focused on the first closed beta of Duo Workflow for select customers. They're focusing on building foundational elements and enriching workflow with additional tooling that will increase the capabilities of what Duo Workflow can accomplish so that it can read files, write files, run commands, read, create and update merge requests, and more. So there's a variety of different tools that the team is working on. Additionally, AI Framework is also working on improvements to stability and resiliency of Duo. This is both to improve our reaction and visibility of incidents and also add the ability for us to do automated fallbacks in the event of vendor outages, which we have seen a slight increase of in the recent past. Finally, the team is also working on simplifying the local AI setup for all of our developers who work on AI Duo features to make that easier and more efficient for those developers. And then finally, let's look at the model validation team, which helps GitLab evaluate AI models to ensure Duo features have high quality results. They're focusing on LLM judge calibration in support of resolve this vulnerability. They're also working with the chat team to evaluate various chat features at scale. They're also working with the custom models team to support all of the model evaluations for these open source models. And then finally, they're working to improve how the local development of Duo features works with our central evaluation framework, our CEF, which is how we test those models at scale. So that gives you a quick overview of all the things we're working on in the data science section. Now I'll hand it over to Josh for core platforms.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. Let me go ahead and share my screen here and get it going. Okay, hopefully folks can see that. But yeah, I'll be going through our core platform section and covering off the highlights. So just a quick reminder, this is not all the work we are doing, but just a sampling across the team. But with that, let's jump into our first theme, which is strengthening our SaaS deployments and capabilities. The first area is we are working to improve how Gitly, which is how we store Git data, can run on Kubernetes. Currently, it's the only part of GitLab that does not run well in Kubernetes. And we are working to try and fix that so we can support a full Kubernetes deployment of GitLab. And right now, we have addressed all of the items that we know about that have been challenges in the past. And we are working to get this deployed on our staging instances of GitLab.com first, so we can get this in a production environment and just see how our changes are performing. And if they are as expected, we'll proceed on to production and then to full-on support for Gitly in Kubernetes, which would be quite exciting. The other area we're working on is further mitigating some of the lock contention within the Postgres database for GitLab, in particular on higher scale deployments like GitLab.com. So we are continuing to work on addressing this in a few different ways and making sure this is not a problem for all of our workloads. From there, we have multiple teams working on our sales project, which will improve how GitLab, in particular GitLab.com, can horizontally scale well into the future. And we're working on a few different aspects here. The first is we're working on what we're calling our org mover, which is how we could move customers in between different sort of shards or cells, we're calling them, for GitLab.com to rebalance them as needed. And so what we're doing with this is we're building this technology to actually move an organization from one to the other as seamlessly as possible. Along those lines, we are working to improve geo replication, so it is no longer based on physical replication. The challenge with this replication model is that it has to move the entire database. And for a multi-tenant service like GitLab.com, we want to move particular parts of the database and in particular organizations' data. So we are working to move this over to logic replication, which will allow us to more selectively move this content. We're also working to support on our unified backup story, which is an improved way of doing backups, where we can actually support all the data types and do point-in-time restores and have a single CLI interface to make it easy to both back up the entire contents of GitLab and restore it, again, to a particular point in time. And we are focused on this milestone on supporting our cloud-native hybrid. We already have initial support for Omnibus, and so we're working to add the support for this other deployment type as well. Further on the sales side of things, we have our tenant scale group, which is working on a few things. But number one is we are working on rolling out that organization, which is that boundary, which is we're putting in place around a customer's data, if you will, or a more clearly defined one within the data structure itself. And so this is going through, and we've just finished it up just a couple of days ago on the namespaces that should require an organization. And that is part of our broader push towards full isolation for organizations within the product, which we are continuing to drive on as well. On the more infrastructure side of things, we have work going on to have a routing layer to route the route requests to the right cell on GitLab.com. And so this will be important as we have kind of more mini GitLab.coms or more cells that we can get the content to the right place. And we are just about ready to roll out this transparent routing layer to staging. And if that all looks well, we'll continue to go ahead and deploy that out to GitLab.com. Along with that routing layer, the topology service is what will contain the data to help inform where each router should go. And so we're continuing to build out this service. We've got the bootstrapping all done, and now we are working on adding initial support for the database and then also classifying resources. Shifting over to the next theme, which is enabling AI and ML efficiencies. The Cloud Connector team is continuing to improve the overall user experience of the health check on how we can connect a self-managed GitLab instance to our AI gateway and our AI cloud services. This will make it easier for customers to know that the configuration is correct, and if it's not, where the particular problem is, and that way they can quickly fix it. And we're also working to make this more scalable as well for additional solutions. And then moving on towards our Java use case adoption, we have a few items here. The first is that our personal productivity team is working on improving overall notifications and that experience. And one foundational piece of this is actually converting the to-do list from its current architecture over into a Vue app, which is the rest of our product uses. And so this will help us, again, develop this more completely in the future and make it more extensible. We're also continuing our work on rolling out design tokens. This will allow us to improve how we handle themes across the product in a more holistic way, things like dark mode or potentially some more for like color, better contrast ratios. And so we did unfortunately run into a couple of problems with how design tokens can work in the current GitLab CSS architecture, in particular with things like Bootstrap. And so we're kind of going back and trying to see how we can address some of these challenges with certain types of how certain pages were designed. So that way we can more completely roll it out. And finally, we're also with our import integrate group, we have user contribution mapping, which will improve the way we map users from an imported content onto a new system. And so this will allow you to override and kind of manage and approve those as they get imported into the new system. And so the target for this is to have support for direct transfer as the first importer for this release. And then we'll also be rolling it out to additional importing types in the future. But that's it for core platform, and I'll hand it over to Derek to talk at carries further.
So thank you, Josh. That all sounds super exciting. All right, let me share my screen, and we'll jump into the dev and monitor sections. So starting out with the differentiate on DevSecOps platform theme, the knowledge group is working to GA the comments within wikis. So comments provide an avenue for effective discussion, questions, and collaboration, and really ultimately allow projects to move forward much more efficiently. Moving on to the source code group, we'll be rolling out the MVC of our consolidated branch rule settings. So this provides a much more efficient way to add and edit branch protections, approval rules, and status checks in a single place on a per branch basis. We're also adding the ability to reference default roles like owners, maintainers, and developers in code owners files so that customers can easily assign areas of the repository to specific roles, which lets them add larger groups of people as code owners without the need to maintain or update group assignments. All right, so the remote development group is working towards enabling the usage of the VS Code extensions marketplace in the web IDE. So let developers install and use their favorite extensions to help with their individual workflows. We're also improving workspaces by starting work on suspending a workspace after a set timeout and then terminating it after an additional amount of time. This will ensure that any work that developers have on their workspace isn't lost immediately when the initial timeout is hit. So that should help with some workflows where you have some longer lived workspaces. Additionally, the team is working to allow sudo access within a workspace, which is the first step towards using containers within workspaces. And then for the final feature in this theme, the code review team is targeting this milestone to enable the new enhanced merge request reviewer assignment experience. This will help developers assign the correct reviewers by surfacing the approval rules, policies, or code owners that apply to the MR. So the focus of this milestone will be on refining this feature to allow for even more efficient reviewer assignment and addressing any feedback that we get. Moving on to the Enable AI ML efficiencies across DevSecOps theme, our editor extensions group will be rolling out the new Duo Quick Chat experience in JetBrains IDEs and in VS Code. So this new chat interface allows developers to open Duo Chat directly in the file that they're working on with a keyboard shortcut and at the line that they're working at. So it'll give a more seamless experience with chat and remove the need to switch context when asking chat to do things like explain, refactor, write tests for specific lines of code. And then we're also planning on enabling Duo Chat in Visual Studio to give users of that IDE all of the myriad benefits of Duo Chat. And then finally, for our code creation team, we're moving our repository X-ray functionality out of the current CI pipeline job that it runs in and into our Rails monolith. Moving the CI job to a background job means that repository X-ray won't need to be added to users' GitLab CI YAML files anymore, and it won't consume CI minutes. It also ensures that all Duo users get the benefit of repository X-ray scans, not just the people who added the job to their pipeline configs. And last but not least, we'll be starting the rollout of Mistral AI's CodeStral model as our new fill-in-the-middle code completion model for code suggestions. In addition to added quality and more language support in the base model, CodeStral has a much larger context window, which allows us to add more context to code suggestions requests to get suggestions that are much more targeted to your specific app and repository. All right, and that is all for me, and I will hand it over to Tim for the CI and CD sections.
Thanks, Derek. That was great. Today, I'm Tim. I'm the PM for the package stage, and today I'm going to talk about the work of the CI/CD sections, which supports developers and platform engineers in effectively completing their automation, configuration, and operation tasks in GitLab after submitting their code. The 3 stages within these sections are verify, package, and deploy. And in the 17.5 release, we have some great work focused on improving your daily workflows in GitLab. Our first theme is enabling AI ML efficiencies across DevSecOps. In this milestone, the pipeline execution team will enhance our AI assistant, focusing on providing more targeted responses. This update aims to improve usability and response quality, making leveraging AI in your CI/CD workflows even easier. Our next theme is driving use case adoption to fully realize value. This milestone, we're exploring alternatives to mirroring for integrating GitLab CI with GitHub source code. This initiative aims to reduce developer feedback delays, enhance the experience for teams using GitHub for source control, and leverage GitLab CI capabilities. And this milestone will focus on evaluating non-mirroring technical solutions. Our next theme is differentiating on DevSecOps platform. We are rolling out support for protected NPM packages and protected container images. These features prevent accidental or malicious updates to registries, enhancing security and package management workflows, and differentiating our DevSecOps platform. Finally, our last theme is strengthening our SaaS deployments and capabilities. We're moving hosted runners on macOS to GA for GitLab.com. And we're introducing M2 Pro hosted runners. Both of these features allow customers to use hosted runners when developing for the Apple ecosystem and provide faster build times for mobile DevOps teams, strengthening our SaaS capabilities. This is only a partial list of everything we're shipping in the CI and CD sections. If you're interested in learning more, please check out the Kickoff videos or direction pages. That wraps up for CI/CD. I'll pass it along to Sam to discuss Sec.
Hey, thanks, Tim. I'm looking forward to that. Here in Sec, we're focused on the DevSecOps driving adoption to fully realize value use case. And for that, we're going to be continuing work on our GitLab native secrets manager here in 17.5. Additionally, we're going to be starting work to build out an architecture which will allow users to apply finely grained permissions to their tokens. This is an enhancement on the current allow list that exists for the CI job token to let users define granular permissions for projects specifically so that they can really scope those down at a fine-grained level. Additionally, on the vulnerability management side, before I get to that, we plan on bringing the credential inventory that currently is available for self-managed only to SaaS. This will help users better manage their credentials across all of their projects. Now into vulnerability management. On that side, we're planning on shipping a new policy, vulnerability management policy, which will allow users to automatically resolve or automatically dismiss vulnerabilities when the criteria that they define is met. This is going to help users automate some of their workflows and reduce the amount of noise that they need to deal with to triage their vulnerabilities. Additionally, we're planning on continuing to improve the GitLab Duo-powered vulnerability resolution feature by letting users resolve vulnerabilities from within a merge request. Also, we're planning on adding some filters to the vulnerability report to let users filter based off of whether or not vulnerability resolution is available or not. On the compliance side, we're planning to continue to add some additional checks, working on 2 new checks to report on whether or not security scanners are being run. And then for the security policies group, we're planning on extending out the functionality of our policies to let users filter policies by group so that you can filter so that they'll only apply to specific subgroups rather than having to apply to everything inside the group. For our static analysis team, we're working on adding support for real-time scanning in the IDE so that as users save files, they can quickly see the results of their SAST scans and address those without having to wait for a pipeline to complete to get those results. Also, we're planning on bringing our secret push protection to GA. As part of this, we're planning on doing some performance improvements, including adding the ability to scan only a set of changes, which is the delta, instead of having to scan all of the files. Really excited about this capability. It's come a long ways and looking forward to seeing it be GA. On the DAST side, we're planning on adding 1 more new active check to our proprietary DAST analyzer, as well as making several performance, stability, and logging improvements. And then on the composition analysis side, we are continuing our work to add support for EPSS and starting work to add support for KEV. Both of these are exploitability metrics, which help you understand how urgent it is to address a given vulnerability. And then lastly, we're continuing to extend our dependency graph support for additional package managers so that users can see within their dependency list what the nearest top level dependency path is so that they know which package they need to go and update when a vulnerability is discovered. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Jackie.
Wow. Thank you so much, presenters, for another great kickoff. So many great things coming in 17.5. I would like to call out a few by theme. Under driving use case adoption, SEC is bringing a secret push protection to GA, adding support for security SAN compliance checks, supporting group scoping for security policies. Well done, Sam. That was a lot of work that you're putting together in 17.5. On differentiate on DevSecOps platform, CI/CD is improving the usability of our CI/CD catalog with search and filtering. The package group is improving the security posture of NPM packages and container images. Dev and Monitor are improving the quality of life for developer experience with wiki comments and branch rules editing, as well as assigned reviewers experience. Enable AI efficiencies across the DevSecOps lifecycle. Data science is delivering so much value, but a couple of ones that really stood out to me were improving the chat experience to make it overall more stable, but including Duo workflow support for limited beta and working on supporting self-hosted code suggestions to GA. I also want to call out work Clore Platforms is doing to evaluate options to improve code suggestions with RAG for global search, and then Dev and Monitor teams that are working across editor experiences, AI metrics, and code completion models. Under our SaaS deployment strengthening, Core Platforms is working on cell improvements as well as delivering a consistent backup solution for all deployment types. And CI/CD is working to move hosted runners from macOS to GA. Please check out our release kickoff page for a full list of items, and like and comment on issues to engage with the team. So only able to touch on a small portion of what we're doing. So thank you for everyone who's